Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Five Questions with the Paulist. Ah, New York at Christmas time.
It's
Always a good place
magical.
to be. Always a good place to be. And Father Evan Cummings has joined us from my old stomping grounds from the wonderful offices of Busted Halo, New York. Hey, Father Evan, how you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for having me, Mike. It's great to be here.
That's awesome. So, look, question one, let's get right into it.
All
You've been
right.
ministering to young adults on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
What I know about this, you could fit in a thimble. So you can tell me, how do you do this?
Well, I think it's a more visual medium. So why don't we go ahead and do a little presentation?
Very nice.
So, what I do essentially is I live stream video games, and you might be thinking, how is that ministry? Well, the thing is that video games tell stories, and stories are great ways of reflecting what we know about ourselves, the world, what we want. Um, And so what I do is I play video games to engage in conversation around that. Now, how this works is on Twitch, specifically twitch.tv/FatherEvansCSP. You can watch me live 3 days a week, and I'll play different kinds of games. Some are more story based, some are more nostalgic, like this one. This is Donkey Kong Country 2. Um, and then people who are watching live can interact with me via chat room. So there's a chat room connected, and I can look over and see what people are saying and have conversations. Be like throw out questions of, oh, what did you hear in the Sunday homily, or what sort of imagery or metaphor does this game? Maybe not this one in particular, but some of the other games, they do have very strong images that really help us develop a sense of faith. And it's all about really like a lot of people have more of a encounters with spirituality and faith than they realize in their everyday life. So it's just helping people sort of realize that, see it, and get equipped with the language. Um, and in doing so, come to a greater appreciation of the presence of God in their life. Uh, Now, sometimes we also, we are also an online community. So some of the games are for fun, like this one, less of a strong message, but, you know, everyone needs to also just have a fun day every now and then. So
You missed two bananas back there, just so you know.
I did, but you know what? I think I'm going to do just fine.
I would totally just not be able to pay attention to the questions and the game.
Oh, it's tough sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, because I got a monitor over here for the game. I got the camera right here. I got a monitor for the broadcasting software. I got a monitor over there for other stuff, and I'm looking at all of it at once. And occasionally, I'll get a game over, and I'll just look at the camera and say, "That was your fault, Twitch chat. You distracted me."
Exactly. That's great. Thanks for doing that. And
Hmm.
question two, you've been really open about your own struggles with mental health. So,
Hmm.
what's something that you think all ministers, what's one thing that you think all ministers should know about people with mental health issues?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to condense it down to just one thing, right?
Sure.
But if there's one takeaway that I've encountered in others who have helped me, in the way that I've accompanied others and found helpful, it's to trust that the person having whatever kind of struggle it is knows what's going on best. No one knows a mind like their own. So, just being willing to listen and hear what's going on inside. And, that can be very difficult sometimes. And sort of the second thing with that is, it's the age old idiom of, an empty cup can't fill someone else, but that sense of, take care of your own mental health, have a good space of your own mental health so that when you are helping others, you know, you're not going to be caught up in something else, or already in a bad place and being brought to an even worse place of your own health. And just so ultimately accompany and listen and trust what someone is saying and take care of yourself as well. And that's important.
Yeah. I often say too, if you're a listener, if you're in the listening fields, as we both are,
Mm-hmm.
you absorb things from other people, right? You're hearing other people's stories, and that kind of awakens some of your own stuff. So you have to take care of yourself too. So I often bring to my own therapist the
Mm-hmm.
things other people have shared with me confidentially and said, hey, how do I deal with this now, because this has awakened this thing in me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So question three: If a Catholic friend or family member came to you and said, I'm going to stop being Catholic, this just isn't working for me anymore, what would you say to give them hope or inspire them to stick with our faith?
Uh, Almost counterintuitively, I don't think I'd necessarily do something to try and get them to stick with our faith. First and foremost, is I would accompany them and I'd want to listen, say, where's this coming from? What's going on? Let's help unpack this. But also to encourage them that, God is with us at all times. I do believe in the beauty and the truth of the Catholic Church. I don't think I'd be a priest if I didn't, but I would also be a fool to say that we can somehow contain God to the walls of our churches. And it's like, no, God is so much bigger. There are ways to still encounter him, that, God will still be with this person in their seeking, and encouraging them to keep asking questions ultimately, to keep asking questions and going deeper and looking for truth and love in their life. And, hopefully that does bring them back to the Catholic faith. And, I hope and believe that it would, but that sometimes if that's just not where someone's at, I can't force them to stay. You know, the better I can accompany them throughout the entire journey, even if they say, I just don't think this is working for me.
Sure. Then question 4, your dad, Kevin, is going to become a deacon at some point, God
Hmm.
willing. And so what inspires you about his vocation?
It's actually kind of a little humorous because when I was going through formation seminary for priesthood, I'd send in my papers and um, he'd review them for grammar. But through that, he learned a lot of theology. And so now, kind of in the reverse, he sometimes talks to me and is asking questions of like, "Hey, what's your perspective on this?" Or what's sort of the other views on this theological point? And so it's kind of a funny way in which I've gone from being, a son seeking his help to also having a mentorship role in a sense with his own formation. Now he's an incredibly smart guy. He doesn't need me to answer all these, but it's a great familial relationship to get to do that and to have that point of connection. I'm just inspired in general by just sort of his humility with it. Like he's not doing this with like any grand idea beyond just, I think this is what God wants me to do. And it's so simple and yet so sublime. Um, and what he wants to do with it is so beautiful. Just like really saying, in the second half of my life, I really want to engage in service and giving to others. And he sees that through the diaconate, and that is beautiful.
Your dad and I have been part of a Facebook group together for a while now, and
Hmm.
he's been very supportive of my own vocation, so I really appreciate him. And I hope I've been supportive of his in the same way.
Oh, for sure. He speaks very highly of your presence, Mike.
Thanks. And finally, question 5. You're on a desert island. You have the scriptures with you. What's one other book or piece of music that you absolutely need to have with you on the desert island?
Uh, ooh, one other piece of literature, or can I have one of both? Because that's,
Sure, why not?
I think for literature, I'm gonna go with my favorite book, Catch 22. It's an
Very
amazing
nice.
book. Uh, it's fascinating to think about who the hero of that novel is every time. And for music, I think I'm gonna go with Streetlight Manifesto, Somewhere in the Between. I think that's my favorite album of theirs.
Nice. Very cool. That'll keep you busy for a while.
I sure hope so.
Exactly. Hey, Father Evan, thanks so much for all the work that you do at Busted Halo out there, and keep playing Twitch. And we're glad that you're doing so well. And so thanks so much for joining us on 5 Questions.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me. Thank you for all that you do uh, with the Paulist with this project and all the other ministries you're a part of.
Thank you. This has been 5 Questions with the Paulist Fathers. I'm Mike Hayes. He's Father Evan Cummings, and we'll have more another time. Take care.